Welcome to the IGEOS show, where we help grow the passion for an extraordinary workplace. If you're listening to or watching this, we hope to strengthen your passion for a workplace that has the potential not only to have an extraordinary impact on your life, but also on the world. My name is Amit Riker, and my co-hosts are Valerio Pascotto and Timothy Galway. Now to you, Valerio.
Thank you, Amit. What drives our efforts is really a vision and credo to enrich humaneness in the workplace. For that, we interview thought leaders who have been inspired by values of compassion, empathy, and modeling to share their discoveries, challenges, and successes. Really, there is no time like now to change the tide, from hateful divisiveness to seeking similarities, from the myth of the genius to the wisdom of humankind, and from the fears of the primitive brain to the wonder of generosity and warmth.
To support you in this work of creating extraordinary workplaces, we would like to offer you a free worksheet you can download on the 5 disciplines of a high-performance team. Just go to IGEOS.net to download the sheet and learn more about us. And now, on to our guest for today. Hello, conscious leaders and teams. We have a very exciting show for you today. My name is Amit Riker, and I have with me my co-host, Valerio Pascotto. Our guest today is Meghan French Dunbar. She is the co-founder and CEO of Conscious Company Media. And if you haven't heard about them, you need to find out about them. They're an amazing company doing amazing work. I've got a couple of show and tell. These are their couple of the previous issues that I really liked. But I'm going to give a little introduction about Meghan, and then we're going to dive in and have a really great conversation with her. So Meghan is the co-founder of Conscious Company Media. Prior to launching the company, she worked in nonprofit development and strategy for nearly a decade and received her MBA from Presidio Graduate School after studying journalism and English in her undergraduate days at CU Boulder. Her passion revolves around inspiring and empowering people to create positive impact through their careers and businesses. Beyond her entrepreneurial endeavors, you can find her running around the mountains of Colorado, making the most of every moment. And this is absolutely true, where she tries to make people laugh along the way. So Meghan, such an honor, such a pleasure. Thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm so excited. I'm humbled and kind of like overwhelmed to be here. But yeah, just feeling really excited and happy that this is happening.
One of the things, Valeria and I, we had a chance to meet you, and I had a chance to meet you about a year or so ago, but at the Conscious Company Leaders Forum. And one of the things I really admired is for what an amazing and encompassing event that you put together, just how humble you were just in your presence through the whole thing. And so let's start off with that question. Tell us about your background. How did you end up today in the chair that you're sitting right now? Tell us a little bit about your journey, because I can only imagine it being a very rich experience.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. It's like a totally random path that wasn't planned, as many of the best paths in life are. I grew up in Colorado and grew up as an athlete and an all-star student, and knew that I really wanted to play professional soccer growing up. That was my dream in life, and blew out my knee my senior year of high school, and it made it so athletics was not something that I could pursue. And so went to University of Colorado at Boulder and essentially studied English and journalism because they were two of what I thought at the time of something I was interested in, but something that I didn't have to put a ton of work into. And then found that I actually, as I got into the majors, really enjoyed writing. I really enjoyed the journalism field, and also got kind of the sad news as I was going through the journalism school more than a decade ago that all of my journalism professors thought that journalism was dead. They thought the print industry was going to be gone within a matter of years, and they told us not to pursue kind of going into print journalism. And so I left undergraduate school kind of jaded and bummed out that I'd spent 5 years studying writing and journalism, and moved down to Costa Rica, taught English for a while, which is what I feel like a lot of kind of disgruntled college kids do nowadays when they graduate and realize their job prospects aren't so great. And it was actually in Costa Rica. I was there more than a decade ago now, and I was really watching the effects that not unsustainable growth was having on Costa Rica. It was being really developed at the time. There are a lot of protests going on. You know, we have this idea of Costa Rica as this very idyllic place because there's a lot of tourism there, and a lot of the tourism is actually doing a lot of harm because it's not being done in a sustainable way. And just fell in love with the idea of like helping, what do I do? And so I came back to the United States. I got a job at the Environmental Defense Fund, and I ended up working there for 6 years. I was doing development and really fell in love there. They have a corporate partnerships program where you learn about how to use capitalism and market mechanisms and business to incentivize people to do good, and fell in love with that. Decided I would do my MBA with a focus on sustainability at Presidio Graduate School, which is one of the only ones in the nation where it's actually a sustainable MBA. And I loved going to Presidio. And then I graduated and went back into the nonprofit world. Random story, had the opportunity to that just kind of fell into my lap to become the managing editor of 2 nationally distributed print publications. And that I decided to take the leap because I had the journalism and English background. That lasted for 5 months. I got fired. And on the same night that I got fired, I had the idea with my co-founder, Maren Keeley, for the idea for Conscious Company magazine. And I was young enough and stupid enough and naive enough and hopeful enough and all of the enoughs in the world to think that we could launch a print publication. And fast forward through many different steps, but in 3.5 years ago, January 1st, 2015, we launched the magazine, and it launched at every single Whole Foods in the United States. And now I'm sitting here in my chair talking to you. There's a couple other things that happened in there. That was the long, short version.
I love the journey. I can only imagine, like you said, the whole path was unexpected, but out of that whole journey, oh, this is interesting. Was there anything, what came up for you that both surprised you, but now in retrospect, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense?
That's a good question. It all makes sense. It all, like, now that I see all the pieces that happened over, it was like a 12-year journey. If one of them had been missing, I wouldn't be where I am. And a lot of them were really painful things that happened that I didn't understand why they were happening at the time. But it's that beautiful place as we're starting to get older where you look back on your life and you go, oh, like, I understand why that happened and that happened and that happened. And it all came together. I would say the thing that surprised me and that I'm learning a lot more as I'm getting older is just to listen to my intuition and my gut. A lot of the things that I did, like taking the leap to take the job as managing editor of 2 print publications, it rationally didn't actually make that much sense, but I just had a gut feeling that I should do it. And I had this kind of like, my grandfather, who has since passed away. I kind of had this moment like, what would my grandpa think of this? And I feel like he wanted me to, like, he was always espousing ideas of lifelong learning and going on the adventure and taking, the road less traveled. And I've had a few moments in my career like that where rationally the idea of what I was doing didn't make much sense at all, but I just had like a sixth sense, gut level intuition that it was what I was supposed to do. And the more I follow that, the more success I have.
Meghan, a fascinating journey to now. If we looked 10 years from now, what would you say your accomplishments might be between now and 10 years from now?
Well, I have I don't have this goal. My whole team has this goal. Conscious Company exists to redefine success in business in service of all life. And what we mean by this is that the definition that we have in modern day society of what a successful business is and what a successful business person is it has entirely been based on profitability and wealth. And what we want to do is help to redefine that narrative in society at large, that success in business is, yes, you have to be profitable and financially sustainable, but there's also the question of how much benefit are you having with society and toward the environment, and asking questions to business leaders about their own personal wealth and how much is enough, and having people be really introspective and thoughtful about how they're deploying their wealth and using their wealth. And so we have the grand vision of redefining success in business to be in service of all life. And so in 10 years, I have the idea that we're not going to be Conscious Company magazine. We're really just going to be kind of like Company magazine, because Conscious Company will be the way that business is done. I really think we're skewing that direction. So in 10 years, I'll be 44. I see myself hopefully having a beautiful family with children. I don't have children yet. And having a really beautiful work-life integration where I'm still serving as a leader in some capacity. I don't know what that'll look like. And really helping to build out these events and this content and all of the things to the best of my abilities in whatever role that means for me and whatever my team thinks is the best use of me. So there's a vague answer, but I will be leading something, happy doing it, and hopefully have like beautiful little children who are running around and feeling inspired and happy and hopeful.
Well, actually, it's a wonderful, wonderful vision. You used the word service, which is such a powerful word, and it conjured in me the beauty of being in a giver mode or giver style rather than a taker style. What have you found helps you, one, maintain balance in your giver style, but also keep at bay the monster of me, my self-interest, my taking of the situation?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I would say that I've actually struggled in the last couple of years, just like total transparency. We've had some business issues that have happened internally at the business with executive level leadership and teams, and then we got acquired. And the last 3 years, while I've been doing the work that I feel like I was put on the earth to do, I've also felt like an immense struggle. And I've really struggled with when things feel really hard for me, I have the tendency to be completely insular and only focusing on myself and what's hurting for me. And I feel like I've had a few moments in the last year or two where I've actually spoken to my husband about feeling like I've been taking too much. I've been taking too much of his caretaking. I've been taking too much of my friends' attention, and everything has been about kind of like helping me to get through this really rough time. And now that we've been acquired and we've really kind of reoriented, and I'm in just a really joyful place right now in my work, that has allowed me to kind of come up for air and have as much energy as possible to give. And that a lot of that looks like nurturing my team. And we've all kind of been in survival mode for so much. And so as I've been able to come out of survival mode and have a little bit more long-term thinking, it's allowed me the space to be able to be there more for my team and also more for my family and friends. I think the interesting question arises again, like if the inevitable change is going to happen and there's probably more suffering on the horizon in some capacity and more struggle. Like when the struggle happens, how do you stay in the place of give? I think that's the challenge that I have personally, and something I'm trying, a growing leadership edge that I have that I'm kind of excited to cultivate.
Thank you for the honesty. It's a character that I appreciated in you at the Leaders Forum, and thank you again.
Thank you.
And Meghan, speaking of the Leaders Forum, I think what you and your team did a really beautiful job is creating that space for people to be real and not just on top of it, that I'm a successful business leader, or I'm doing really amazing things in the world. What are you doing? But really taking away some of those shields and say, oh, yeah, I actually stumbled a lot getting here. And so what I've really appreciated is sort of the environment that you created at the Leaders Forum. And so how do you continue to cultivate that sort of environment so that we can be vulnerable in it and at the same time grow from it? So are there ways that you've cultivated that environment for yourself or for your team? And how does that look like?
Yeah. I think one of the conclusions that I'm starting to get to I interview and talk to hundreds of business leaders. And the ones that I connect with most are the ones who are vulnerable, open, and honest. And I think that we do ourselves a disservice when we paint a rosier picture of things than how they are. And that's what we've been taught to do as business leaders. We're supposed to fake it till we make it and pretend that everything's okay. And especially with our teams, we're supposed to shield them from the bad things that are happening so that we are instilling a sense of confidence in them and that they think that we know it, that we've got everything is going okay. And I just think it's detrimental to our teams and to ourselves as business leaders when we're not honest about how things actually are for us. And so I've personally, my practice has just, as I've been at this for 4 years now as kind of leader of this company, and I've gone through both sides of it. When we were going through really kind of hellacious, hard times as a company, I felt the need to shield my team from it, and I shielded them for 8 months from it. And the personal toll that it took on me to be fighting a battle over here that then I wasn't telling the people that these people are my family. I love my team. You spend more of your waking hours with your teammates that you work with than almost any other relationship that you have in your life. And to not be able to tell them what was going on, and I say to not be able to tell them, that was my own personal self-constraint that I put on this, that I had the story that I wasn't able to tell them about this. It was excruciating. And I actually think it didn't help me, and it didn't help my team. And when I finally got to the place where I just started talking to them openly and honestly about the challenges that we were having, they understood. They were more able to help. There was more forgiveness. There was more patience. And yes, there was some fear that was brought up in that, but then also as a leader, that's part of, you can be honest and help your team battle the sense of fear that they have when things are going wrong. So that was kind of a lesson for me around how it worked in my own team, in my own life. And then I started just in 2018 at the convenings that we've done 2. We've done the World Changing Women Summit, which is a female-only space for female business leaders. And then we do the Conscious Company Leaders Forum. And at both of those gatherings, I just made a commitment to myself that despite the fact that I'm the host and the MC and you guys paid here to be money, I'm going to let you know what's going on with me. I'm going to be totally open, full open kimono. Like, I am going to stand on stage and bare my soul to you guys. And in both cases, it was a way for me to model how I was hoping and inviting other people to be in the space. And it worked. And so it's been something that I have started bringing into my personal life and everywhere, is just like the idea of radical candor and just being completely open and honest at all times, even when I'm scared and even when I'm overwhelmed and even when I don't know what I'm doing. There's, you know, it's a blessing and a curse of doing it, but my general sense has that it's been an overwhelmingly positive approach to being a leader and pulling together convenings. And the first step, if you're building a space or trying to build a community and you're inviting people to be a certain way with you, the first thing that you have to do is model that way of being, so that they can understand that you're willing to go there and that's a safe space, or as we say, a brave space, to be whoever you need to be and to actually have the conversations. Because I actually think that when we're honest with each other about what's going on, you can get more helpful feedback, and we grow more when we're in spaces of community and when we're actually having conversations of substance about what's really going on with you. It's a very long answer, sorry.
Oh, it's a beautiful answer. Thank you. It reminds me, classic that I believe Brené Brown talking about is, when we demonstrate courage, we give other people the invitation to be courageous as well. And so thank you very much for demonstrating that.
And I have to say that the modeling was extremely successful. I did not know you, and I would have never guessed that was your struggle, because you executed that transparency at the meeting impeccably. So thank you.
Thank you.
Meghan, I'd love to hear, you mentioned that there's 2 major convenings that you've done. What was exciting about those, and what's on the horizon for future projects?
Oh, geez. So yeah, this year, as I mentioned, we've done the World Changing Women Summit, which was the first annual, and that was a passion project for me. As a female entrepreneur, I have found that a lot of the support that I have gotten has been from other female entrepreneurs, and to have the connection to be able to talk about everything from how challenging it is to raise capital all the way down to, hey, I'm thinking about having kids. Has anyone else had a child while also being a CEO, and how the hell do I do this? I have those conversations in little circles, and I have a ton of female entrepreneur friends. And as last year was kind of wrapping up and I had just been through a lot of challenging circumstances, I realized that all of the female CEOs and entrepreneurs that I was talking to, everyone was having struggles. And they were finding that the places they were finding the most support were in these little groups that we were putting together of female CEOs, that we kind of do these little virtual circles. And I realized that I have this massive network of female business leaders, and that a service that I thought that I could provide would be to build a space where they can all come together and have a really cathartic space where they can learn about really deep business issues, talk about raising capital, talk about leadership, talk about workplace development, and also just be open and honest with each other and start meeting some allies on their own respective journeys. And so we put together the World Changing Women Summit. We had almost 200 women come in for this first event, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever done in my life. And so that is something that we're going to continue doing, and building out that platform of the Women's Summit, which unfortunately is a female only space. But there's also just some beauty that happens in terms of women feeling really safe. Having that space where they can come was important. And so then on the flip side, we have the Leaders Forum, which is for executives, business owners, CEOs, and we essentially build the exact same space, because men need that cathartic space as well when they're in roles of leadership. And so what we're trying to do with the Leaders Forum is build a space where business leaders can really deeply connect we kind of wonk out on traditional business stuff, leadership, workplace development, impact on the world, as much as we can, because we all are there. We're there to talk shop, and then we're also there to like deeply, deeply connect. And so the Leaders Forum is something that we'll continue to do moving forward. We were acquired in December, and we now have 3 sister companies. We have SOCAP, which is the world's largest impact investing and social entrepreneurship convening. We have the Good Capital Project, which is a convening entity for traditional wealth managers and teaching them kind of impact investing 101. And then we also have What Will It Take Movements, which is a women's rights platform. And so we have 4 different portfolio companies. All of us are trying to make the world a better place through different avenues. And the common denominator that we all have is that all of us have female CEOs. And all of us really care about women's rights. And so we just launched the Year of Women in June. And the Year of Women is essentially, we're going to take all 4 of those portfolio companies, including ourselves. And from June 2018 to June 2019, we're hosting 14 convenings that are all about empowering women in business, empowering women around finance, and empowering empowering women in politics. So we're embarking on that. And then we're also thinking about, as another convening and a space that we feel is really ripe and rich, is talking to people who aren't converted yet. So we call them, we have the conscious converted. We have people who drank the Kool-Aid and really believe that running your business in a conscious way, and that is a holistically conscious way. So that's looking at your own personal leadership and how you are in the workplace, how you set up your workplace, and how your team is thriving in the workplace. And then also, what is the impact that your company is having on the world, looking at all 3 of those elements. There's the people who get that and they love it, and they come to the Leaders Forum, and we dive really, really deep on that. And that's a beautiful space for that. There's also who we call the conscious curious, or the conscious concerned. It is these traditional business professionals who are either like have heard a little bit about this and are trying to understand a little bit more about this because they think it could be helpful, or there's the people who see this incoming tidal wave of the millennial generation who's demanding purpose and work and are demanding that their workplaces be kind of up to a certain standard, and they're more concerned about what they need to do. We feel like we really kind of want to open our arms and help these people find a really accessible entry point to be able to come in and understand just very basic conscious business 101 principles and practices. And so we're gearing a lot of what we're doing right now toward how do we help to open the tent and make this a more inclusive space for more traditional business people to come into.
That's fantastic.
Again, a critical point when I think of inclusion. It's such a delicate balance between inclusion and wanting to find my tribe, because automatically tribe creates exclusion. So as you are seeing the possibility of bringing maybe even totally unconscious people into engaging and participating, what are your thoughts of this difficult balance?
Yeah, we struggle with this, and we have a kind of this like identity crisis sometimes, because at the Leaders Forum, that is people who really believe in these principles, and it feels like tribe culture. Like you are there, you're with your people, and when people from more traditional business elements have come to that convening, there is kind of this sense of like they're coming to a family gathering and they're trying to marry into the family, but they have it, like they don't quite know everybody. And so how do we bring them in? And so what we're hoping to do is kind of build more stepping stones into the content and into the convenings. So like the Leaders Forum and the Women's Summit really serve as that pinnacle place where the tried and true conscious business leaders are really going to connect. And then just having access points and entry points at the beginning and middle to help them on their journeys. I think one of the interesting questions that we've struggled with since the beginning is what is a conscious company? how do we holistically define that? And do we ever not allow someone to come to a convening or have their content in our magazine if they're trying? So we had this example the first year, Land Rover wanted to advertise in the magazine. And I just said, nope, nope, you're not welcome here. And we said no to that advertising contract, which is insane for a young publishing company to do that. And then very quickly I started feeling guilt about it, and I started having conflicting feelings about it, about, we're trying to inspire, educate, and connect. That is our goal. Our goal is not to be laying down the foundation of who is and who isn't. We're not trying to create an exclusive space. And so we've just continually struggled with this. And what we're coming, I think, more around to after 3.5 years of vigorous debate that I think will probably continue on through the lifetime of our company, is that we want to be as inclusive as possible and create entry points for wherever you are on the journey, that's the best way for us to make the change that we want to see in the world. And that there's never going to be anyone that we're going to just say, absolutely not, you cannot come, or you cannot be invited, or you're not supposed to come to this gathering because, we want to have, if someone wants to come to a leaders forum, and I'm just using random examples, they're like the CEO of Monsanto, I'd be interested to have them come to the leaders forum. I'd be interested to see what, I'm assuming it's a man, thinks of the leaders forum. So I'm rambling on. And as you can tell, I don't have a cohesive answer to this, and our team is constantly talking about it, but we're trying to just figure out how those stepping stones are, how they feed into each other, and how we can just help more people along the spectrum on their conscious business leadership journeys.
I think that's remarkable. And I was considering how would it be to be at the next leaders forum and one of the panel members has the opposite ideas of everybody else. So they're not just participating, they're actually up on stage in the panel. And it's a challenge, definitely. I call it the challenge of being righteous about not being righteous. And what you said, I think, really is the main point, awareness. I don't know that there's anything more than just staying aware and being willing to talk about it.
Yeah. I don't want to be in the space of being competitive about how conscious we are. That seems maybe like antithetical to the whole thing.
Well, that right and wrong is a difficult interference.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear around it.
Absolutely. And we do have certifying bodies. We do have B-Lab, we have Game Changers 500, we have people that have put a tremendous amount of time into effort into certification. And so that's not what we do. We're just here to kind of help you on wherever you are. And we'll leave certification to the experts.
That's very inspiring.
Meghan, how do you see that mix, or either in your experience, because there's, like you said, an aspect of tidal wave, there's certifying bodies, B-Lab, and then there's others that just self-identify. Like one of my favorite issues is your industry guide, and you're talking about, the landscape and who are some of the key players. So I really appreciated seeing that, because it's like there are all these different entities coming at conscious business at different angles, and membership ways, and certification ways, and just sort of educational ways. And as always, there's no one right answer, and how do we continue to expand that circle? So how have you seen that conversation evolve? Basically, where some they're very dedicated, we have to go the route of B Corp certification and continue that path. But then, that same inclusion exclusion discussion, how do we continue to expand the community to more conscious ways? So Tell us about what you've seen evolve and maybe even how you see it evolving down the line.
Mm. Yeah, we obviously have studied this a lot. And I feel like this isn't going to be that interesting of an answer, but what our conclusion that we've kind of come to is that every single way at going about this is wonderful. We really welcome, we kind of need to hit this from every possible angle, and we feel like all the work that all the industry groups that we profiled in there, and I mean, we put them in there for a reason. We think they're all doing incredible work. This is a massive challenge to be getting the way that we do business, which is the largest aggregator of human potential on the face of the planet. And we've been doing it a certain way for as many years as we have. How do we shift the zeitgeist, the mainstream zeitgeist, so that people understand this and aren't just like tacking CSR onto their companies, but how do they holistically understand it and how do they feel incentivized to do it? I don't think there's one right way. I think that we're all such different human beings, and different human beings are going to engage with because of different inspiration. And so I just feel so excited that we have so many industry groups that are trying so many different approaches. What we're seeing our role as is being the large tent under which all of those groups can come and give content and tools and resources. And everyone that we profiled in the magazine and everyone that's on our website, they've all contributed content. So we're starting to be the aggregator of all of this information. And we saw that as the best need for us, was just to start getting all this information in one place, to have a central hub where if you want to learn about conscious business, you can come and we can teach you how ASBC is doing it and what SVM is doing and how conscious capitalism is doing it and what's B Lab certification. And we have all of that information under one roof. And we're hoping at some point down the line that there's actually a convening space that brings together all of those industry groups into one group as well. We've been kind of attempting to do it on a probably too small of a scale, because all of those industry groups are meeting in isolation and in silos. And I think the more important question is not if there is a right approach to doing it, but how do we get all of those approaches kind of unified and headed the same direction? How do we get them sharing resources and sharing ideas and collaborating in a more meaningful way? So as I think about what is needed in the future, I think continuing for us personally is to continue to aggregate this and hopefully maybe create convenings where these people can start coming together. We had last year at the Leaders Forum, we had a gentleman from Conscious Capitalism who came, and a gentleman from Social Venture Network who came, and they met and they'd gone to high school together 35 years earlier or something and hadn't realized that both of them were in this space, and they reconnected. And I was like, how do you guys not know each other? Like, this is crazy to me. So I just feel like as we move into the future, like figuring out the question of cohesion, how do we begin to work together? And it's like an interesting question around incentives, because so many of, some of these entities are operating as nonprofits and some of them are operating as for-profits. And so they all need a business model. And almost all of the business models to date are either based on donation, if you're a nonprofit, or convenings. And so everyone is popping up events that are then competing with each other rather than figuring out, and which is understandable because we all need sustainable revenue streams. So how do we unlock the problem of bringing all these groups together finally and having that be a sustainable revenue source for everyone? I don't know, but I hope that we figure it out.
The beauty of seeing that reminds me the example with the two high school classmates. It, to me, as I heard you say that, it really struck that back to that initial topic of we have to be willing to be vulnerable to say, hey, this is what I'm up to. Like I'm getting chills even just saying it right now. Like I think about even some of my circles where I haven't fully opened up to them and say, hey, this is what I'm up to, letting myself be seen in the space of the work that I'm doing. Because people want to help. People want to learn about that. What's been your experience with that? Letting yourself be seen and then finding out like, oh yeah, hey, there's overlap, or they want to help you, or whatever that case might be.
Yeah, I mean, people don't know how to help or engage with you unless they know what your needs are. And so I will say that for me, I'm like, is this true? Is this a true statement? I think it's a true statement. I am 100% open with everyone that I meet at every conference that I go to about who I am, what I'm doing, what's going on. And I probably share too much information. I'm just 100% myself. And this has been something I've been cultivating for the last many years. And I would say it's become like my superpower. Because I like have no shame anymore about being vulnerable, about letting people know what I'm struggling with, what's going on in my life. Like I'm about to start to try to get pregnant, and anything that anybody wants to know about me. I don't know where that wall collapsed around me that I think we're supposed to have as humans, but it's just gone. And because it's gone, for me, it has made it so that I really quickly, because I typically demonstrate a different way of being than we usually are with humans, then I get really wonderful, courageous, open, vulnerable responses back from people about what they're going through, and it helps me to connect a lot easier. It also helps me to understand points of collaboration a lot easier. Just like a very recent example, Eileen Fisher put together the female CEO gathering for certified B Corps, like a niche within a niche within a niche. So you had to be a certified B Corp with a female CEO. And she brought, apparently there's only 300 in the world. And she had an open invitation to come to her headquarters in New York. And so I went to that gathering and just let everyone know around the World Changing Women Summit and what we're building there, that I'm really struggling with finding women who have the ability to pay. Because it's a space and we want to be as inclusive as possible. So we offer scholarships to anyone who wants one. We don't say no, but then I also have to have a sustainable revenue source for myself as a company and can't be losing money on my events. So how do I find executive women that are willing to pay? And we had these little conversations where we all got together and we're asking for advice and insights. And I brought that to the table. And there was a woman sitting across from me who has a network of 200,000 female business owners from across the United States. And so she and I have started to have a conversation around, now that I know what her struggles are and she knows what my struggles are, how do we work together? And we're already kind of on the pathway to have just a beautiful partnership as a result of that, that's going to be mutually beneficial. Just because I was in the first 10 seconds of knowing her, we were having a conversation around what some of our issues were. I shouldn't say that I don't like, hey, I'm Megan, guess what struggles I'm having with my business right now. There was context around this one, but she and I were able to connect in a super deep way, and now we're able to help each other from a place where we truly understand what the other one really needs, not like kind of a surface level partnership that's like, hey, I'll give you my list, you give me yours. We really understand how to provide value to each other as a result of opening up to each other.
Oh.
As you were presenting this scenario, what came to my mind is that the antidote to exclusion is collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree.
So to that effect, Megan, where do you see how conscious leaders, conscious teams can continue to get more involved or dive in deeper? There's there's already an existing community that are working together or starting to come together at such gatherings like the Leaders Forum. But what do you see as sort of the next step of going deeper, of bringing in more people? What's that vision for you, or your thoughts around that?
I swear I didn't plant this question. Listening. Well, next week we are launching our own membership initiative, and so what we realized, we put together these unbelievable convenings, and people want to stay connected and go deeper and learn more on a consistent basis. And our answer has always been, well, subscribe to the magazine and then come to the next event. And so after 2 years of people it was purely based on consumer demand of asking, how do I go deeper? How do I go deeper? How do I go deeper? Without having to wait another 12 months for the next convening. We finally birthed our membership offering, which we'll be launching next week. July 16th is our kind of official internal launch date, and then we'll be kind of making sure all the pipes are connected and everything looks great, and then we'll be really doing a big push out on August 1st. But what we see is, so as of right now, we kind of are like, come to an event and then you can join our Facebook group. Like people are talking in there. And so we've been studying it for the last year of like, what does actual collaboration look like? And so we're launching this membership offering. There's a $7 a month level, which kind of gets you just the access to all sorts of information. Get a print magazine subscription, you get all the back issues of the magazine, you get exclusive digital content, you get exclusive kind of discounts to events. It's like a very traditional business membership group that is a super low barrier to entry, so that we can hopefully get as many social entrepreneurs and students and as many people as possible in there. And then for kind of the business leader group, we thought about what we wanted, what I would want as a business leader. And so it's a $27 a month membership, and it has all of the things that come with the lower membership, but then there's a super deep level of connection. So members can create member profiles, understand what other people around the country are looking for, what their pain points are, what industries they're interested in, and directly connect with other members. We'll have over 1,000 signed up at the initial launch. And so we have this kind of huge group that'll already be in there. There'll be a members only Slack channel with different channels so that people can talk about different industry things and get advice from each other. We're going to be doing a monthly business leader Q&A session. And so like an hour long, because we have this unbelievable access to some of the most unbelievable business leaders in the world. And we're calling in all of our favors. And so they're giving us an hour of their time once per month, and members can call in and ask these business leaders anything. So these it's like virtual office hours with like Raj Sisodia and Lynn Twist, and we're getting all these incredible business leaders pulled in together. We're giving access to all of our archives of our past audio interviews, and then we're going to start thinking through what it looks like so that people can start doing more regional convenings and book clubs and like going deeper with their communities that are in the places that they already live, where they probably don't even know some of the people that are right around the corner. So we're super excited about it. It's like scary for me to talk about it because we're a week away and we don't know what it's going to look like, but we fortunately have the fact that we can talk to a lot of our friends and allies, and that we are all business leaders ourselves within my team, and we can all think about, like, if I were to belong to a community virtually, what are all the components that I would really want that would be valuable to me? And this is what we came up with, and then we'll be kind of refining it as we go along. But we felt like we finally needed that space where B Corps can come in, and conscious capitalism practitioners can come in, and SVN members can come in, and they can all start meeting each other virtually if they can't make it to a convening. And then when you come to the convening, hopefully the idea is that you've already met a lot of the people virtually, and then that's the first time you actually get to meet in person, or you come to a convening, and then that's a fantastic way to maintain the engagement through the year. So it's not a new idea by any stretch of the imagination. Membership is very low-hanging fruit for a lot of organizations. I think what we're really interested in is, what does a membership model look like that provides significant and true value to the people in this community. So as a very personal answer, that is what's next for us, and kind of how do we keep beating the drum throughout the year, because we have this crazy business model where, you know, you come to these convenings and you have 3 days that are some of the most deeply transformative, unbelievable 3 days where you meet these friends and you want to hang out with them. And then for the rest of the year, all we do is send out content into the ether and just publish a magazine and publish content. We have no idea who's reading it. We have no idea if, you know, how it's landing. And then we hear these examples of, like, I hope they don't mind that I'm using their names, but like at the Leaders Forum last year, we had 2 women, Jessica and Elaine, who came and they met, and now they're business partners. They launched a business together after meeting at our conference, and we have stories like that all over the place. So how do we make it so those connections don't just have to happen in the 3 days that you're in person together? How can we start making those connections all over the country and all over the world in a virtual space? So we're going to be furiously trying to figure this out, and look forward to any feedback that you have.
That's fantastic, Megan. To that effect, how can people find out more about that or about the work you're doing? Please let the audience know.
Yeah, the best place is consciouscompanymedia.com. Our new membership offering, which will be live very shortly, will be at consciouscompanymedia.com/join. You can also check out information about the Women's Summit at worldchangingwomensummit.com. And you can find out about the Leaders Forum at consciouscompanyleadersforum.com. And so fortunately, while we have the next 6 months, our big membership build out, our next big event isn't until the first quarter of 2019, and that's the Women's Summit. And then we'll have the Leaders Forum again next year. So.
Oh, fantastic, Megan. This has been just fantastic. I really appreciate your time again, and I know Valeria and I we're both looking forward to this. Any last words you'd like to share to conscious leaders, conscious businesses, conscious teams that you want to just be able to share to the audience?
Oh, wow. I think one of the most important messages that I often, it's like the simplest, but it's oftentimes fairly powerful, is just that you're not alone. There's like a humongous community of people all over the world that are trying to be better conscious business leaders, and it's a gorgeous journey, and I think enjoying the journey as much as like worrying. I think sometimes we get caught up in this idea of perfection, of the way that we're supposed to be as leaders, and that our workplaces should be seamless, and all of our employees should be engaged and happy and thriving, and that we should be having the most impact that we possibly have on the world. Oh, my dog just decided to join us. But I think that kind of not letting perfect be the enemy of the good, along that journey that so many people are on around the world of like trying to just do better in business, is just kind of a mess. And it's also for myself, like as this is funny, sorry, my dog is running around in a circle on her bed, so I apologize if that's loud. Where I suffer from it myself. If I have a team member who's struggling because of something, anything, whatever it might be, I feel this sense of like, I'm supposed to be the expert on this, and my team members are wholly satisfied 100% of the time, and I beat myself up about that a lot, and that we're not having as great of an impact as we possibly could be, and you get the point. I think just kind of making sure that we all understand that it's incremental, it takes a while. There's no like final destination, that there's no like holy land. Even the people at Patagonia, which are often regarded as the most conscious company in the world, they still admittedly have issues that they're trying to get better on. So being like really patient and kind to yourself along the journey, and also knowing that you're not alone and there's so many people out there trying to do this. So it's a very, again, a long answer.
The very genuine one. Meghan, thank you so much. Everybody, conscious leaders, conscious teams, Meghan French Dunbar from Conscious Company Media. Please check out their site and their magazine, their content, amazing stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today. My co-host, Valeria Pascato, and my name is Amit Riker. So hope you had a wonderful time today, conscious leaders and teams, and we will continue this conversation. Thank you so much, everybody.
Amit, maybe we should leave Meghan with how she inspired us. And
certainly. Would you like to go first? I love it.
No, go ahead.
I think, Meghan, the humility is what is struck out. From the first time I met you, actually, it was at a Sum It Up event, the storytelling.
Yeah.
And just the holding the space of both how you're moving forward with amazing things and trying to make an impact in the world, and you also have the humility of sharing your struggles and just being very down to earth. Like that is something that I've appreciated from the first time I met you, and just each time I continue to meet you since then. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I second all that. I had something very practical in mind, though, in terms of, being that my mother was Austrian, so I'm Italian, but Austrian plays a big influence. And after the 3 days, immediately after, as Amit and I were getting ready around 2 p.m. to leave, we decided that we wanted, from that inspiration, to offer a gift. And we are really saying that it comes thanks to the Leaders Forum and your participation. So we are offering 3 workshops that we run to businesses interested as our gift.
Oh, I love it. That's so great. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You definitely inspired us and still are, and hope will continue for many, many more years.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
Thank you for joining us today. We have many more exciting thought leaders to come on this show. If you enjoyed this interview, please click the like button and also subscribe so that you can stay tuned to learn from other powerful thought leaders in future shows. We would also appreciate your comments and feedback on the show, as well as who else you would like to hear from. And don't forget to visit our site, IGEOS.net, to download the free worksheet on the 5 disciplines of a high-performance team. See you next time.